The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode. And now, here's Brandon.
All right, welcome back to the end of another week here on the Brandon Peters Show. And of course, that means it's time to close out with a song where we talk a music video that this summer is a part of.
The summer of 82 at 40.
And returning for his third round here, I'm always happy to have from the Halloweenies, Windy City Double Features Podcast, Cheap Tracks, Music Box of Horrors Drive-In, Rock Island Public House, everything and everything. It's Mike Vanderbilt.
Hello, Brandon. Thank you for having me back. Very, very, very excited about tonight's pick.
Tonight's pick was just Caught Up in You, the first #1 Billboard chart-topping single from 38 Special, the lead single from their fifth album, Special Forces. They charted all singles on this album, including Back on Track, Chain Lightning, and You Keep Running Away. 38 Special is a band created by the little brother of Leonard Skinner founder Ronnie Van Zant, Johnny. So you're a big 38 Special fan.
I am, but in that same breath, I want to say I think they are one of the perfect greatest hits bands.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I think their hits, their singles, that's all. I don't want to say it's all you really need. Their albums do have some gems on them, but I think you can get away with it, and you can get truly get the best of this band out of there. And so what I really love about 38 Special is if you look at their history. So as you said, it's Donnie Van Zant, the younger brother, or Ronnie Van Zant, the younger brother of Donnie Van Zant. Did I get that, Mac? No.
Donnie's the little one. Yeah.
Donnie's a little guy. Looks just like him too.
Just
so,
the Wahlbergs. Donnie's the little one.
You know, they're out there in the 70s and they're doing this Southern rock thing, right? And they see it coming. They see that times are changing and that Southern rock is out of vogue. That kind of swampy, more blues-based stuff and more angular pop rock in the vein of Cheap Trick and the Cars and the Knack and all that power pop and new wave and punk stuff going on. So they alter their sound just a little bit. So by their third album, you get their let's see. I'm lost now. So you get to their third album and they decide to use more power chords, more fifths, and kind of put a little bit more of a pop sheen on that sound. And that's where they start getting noticed.
People like the catchy stuff.
And let's see. So there's a big time Chicago connection on Hold On Loosely too. That was their next biggest hit after this one, right? Or is Hold On Loosely before this? Hold On Loosely is just before this. So
before. Okay, that's right.
So it's their fifth album, comes out May 4th, 82, right? And so it's written by Don Barnes, a singer, lead guitarist, Jeff Carlisi, but they had some ringers in there with them. They've got Frankie Sullivan and Chicago pop smith Jim Peterick. I don't know how familiar are you with these guys, Brandon?
Not too familiar.
So these guys were founding members of Survivor, which they started in 1978. In
yeah. Okay. Yes. I just recorded a Survivor episode.
Not everybody knows that name, but
because they wrote songs for each other, right?
He's just one of those guys. He's got I think it's this intersect. Jim Peterick especially. I don't want to discount Frankie Sullivan's contributions to song, but Jim Peterick, he's that perfect blend of, I think, just born in pure talent and hard work. I think he's just a talented songwriter. I think he's just got that knack. But the reason he's so good at it is because he does it every fucking day. It's the same thing I say about Prince, who I believe had pure talent, but he also treated playing music like his job. Because these, like Jim Peterick writes Eye of the Tiger, he writes Burning Heart. Tiger would be released later that May. So this is like pre Eye of the Tiger. Like Jim Peter really has, I mean, he has, what does he have? He has, and none of his, towards the 80s, you start to get his vibe as a songwriter, but this is the same guy that wrote, Vehicle for the Ides of March. He was in the Ides of March. So he just has that, which is something I'm impressed with in a songwriter, that innate, like intangible thing to know when something's a hit and when something isn't. Because these guys had worked with the band before, because Peter Rick Sullivan and Gary Smith wrote 38 Special's first big hit, which was Rockin' Into the Night. So that's from the 79 album of the same name. And that's the album that's the one. That's the album, Rockin' Into the Night, is where they found the band taking that more of arena rock sound over the southern rock sound. And it was produced by, so then we have Hold On Loosely, which they worked on together, and Rockin' in the Night. And then Peter Rick wrote the sequel to this one too, You Keep Running Away, alongside Barnes and Carlisi.
Gotcha.
I got all my notes mixed up on that one. It was
good.
There's so much, but I just love the shift that these guys make.
Yeah.
And that it works out well for them, because these are pop fucking juggernauts, every one of these hits. Like we were talking about a couple weeks ago you're talking about with Heat of the Moment, how the verse maybe is bigger than the chorus on that one, right?
Yeah.
Like this one, like the verses are great, and then the choruses are even better. Like this is the kind of stuff you can instantly sing along to. And that's that intangible touch that Jim Peterick, I believe, brings to these songs.
Yeah. And the one where, Caught Up in You is just brilliant. Like it's like it doesn't get better than this. Like this is perfection.
One of my favorite things about Peterick is like he's in his 70s now, and he still cruises around. He lives up in Oak Park, in the suburb of Chicago, and he still cruises around with his purple hair in his Porsche. it's like a 70-something Porsche or a 60 Porsche. That he'll tell you in an interview, like, if you talk to him, that Eye of the Tiger paid for that Porsche, and he still got it. But
I believe it. That song was huge.
This weird looking little rock and roll guy with purple hair who just lives in the suburbs of Chicago and just makes money writing songs for people. Just a really fucking cool dude.
If it wasn't for technically, Eye of the Tiger is the biggest song of '82, but because it's the one that was released in '82, but the one that charted best, sold most copies in '82 was Physical. But yeah,
this is a juggernaut. It was a juggernaut. Like you don't get pop juggernauts like Physical anymore, where everybody knows it, and it's divided 50-50 versus loving it and hating it, right?
Right. Yeah,
and everybody at least has an opinion on it. Like most times with pop music now, and it also probably has to do with my advanced age at this point, where I don't even, like, somebody will mention a song and I have no idea what it even sounds like or what the singer looks like who does it.
Right? No, you know that one. No, I don't. You play it, I'm like, I'm still not sure. Not sure.
Or I'll be like, yeah, this sounds like an Elvis Costello tune. Like that's what happened with Olivia Rodrigo when they're playing for me the one tune she does. I'm like, yeah, this is Pump It Up by Elvis Costello. It's like nothing new under the sun, right? So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this video a little bit, because this goes back to one of my favorite things about music videos, where it intersects footage of the band just playing, which I love, with a story.
Yes.
And this has that, I cannot define or put into words, but I'm going to try the quality. There's a, I don't know if they're using cheaper film stock, or maybe, I think it's video. I think they could just be shooting these on. I think it's video that they're shooting these on, but there's a certain look to early 80s videos.
Right.
That these have. And I think it's just the videotape that they're using. Do you know what I'm talking about? Can you describe to our listeners what it looks like? How maybe it's like not pornography. I can't tell you what it is, but I know it when I see it, right?
Right, yeah. It's not quite soap opera motion or BBC like.
Yeah.
But it's almost there. Like it's almost like they shot on film and then mastered on video or something like that. It's almost sharp. Looks like that. Yeah.
What I like about it, looking back at it now, like back then it was probably just due to budget, but it gives an uncanny valley kind of out of time feel to the proceedings in this one.
Yeah.
Now I couldn't find a director for this one.
No, he shot both this and the other one, I believe. It was filmed in Atlanta, 2-day shoot followed directly by another 2-day shoot for You Keep on Running.
Yeah, and I love the Internet Movie Database does have a description of the music video. A shy man sees an alluring blonde in a crowded nightclub, but is frequently thwarted in his attempts to connect with her. And it's shot in this big club in Atlanta, so they're essentially at a 38 special concert. But it doesn't look like a club; it looks more like a dive bar.
It's like it's almost there with the urban cowboy type thing, where it's like tonight we got a concert, then on Wednesday there's line dancing.
Trivia's on Thursdays,
yeah.
And don't forget that Monday is ladies' night.
It's like a little too big to just be a bar. There's like other stuff.
Well, yeah, because the stage that the band is playing on is like huge. Like it's like a small club stage. Like in Chicago, it looks like they're at least playing like the Vic or the Riv.
Mm-hmm. And know, every step you take, you're crunching peanut shells in this place. Like I can feel it.
I can smell this bar, and I love it.
Yeah, that's what I love. I love. Yeah,
this is my kind of hangout. Like indeed. Now we talk about the Alluring Blonde. We got to talk about her. This is the film debut, or video debut of April 1980 Playboy cover girl Sherry Shattuck.
Yep, and
who was a soap opera star, lots of TV.
She gets a life pass for being a guest on Head of the Class. She had a recurring character on Dallas too.
Yeah, she did nighttime soaps, daytime soaps. She's On Deadly Ground with Steven Seagal. I think she's a writer now. I think she does
books. Yeah, she is
thrillers.
Our only connection to any production stuff on this video, because I found an interview with her. Did you find that one?
I read that interview too, and it's actually like it's an interesting, and you can tell she's kind of like over it. Also, I think the interviewer maybe
the interview's a bit repetitive on the questioning, and
all right, you noticed that as well because you're a pro.
Because it's like, hey, what do you think about working with Cheap Trick? I don't remember much about them. Okay, or not Cheap Trick, 38 Special. I don't remember much about them. 38 Special and
Cheap Trick.
What were they like when you were on set? I don't.
Yeah. Right. Well, the funny thing about I do like one thing I like about that interview, which is notable, is that like she talks about how difficult it is to get the band to the set.
Yeah.
And it's probably because, as we talked about, I think in the Ebony and Ivory episode, about how a lot of these particularly rock bands, did not want to do music videos.
Yeah.
They felt that it was beneath them, that it was a passing fad, let the music speak for itself.
I know the Go-Go's hated doing videos. Like, I know that.
It's interesting that 38 Special will be doing this at this point, because Hold On Lucy had a video shot for it. And I wouldn't say that had to have had an effect on the success of that song, even though it's not. That video is simply just the band playing.
Right. Yeah.
I will say something that's notable about 38 Special, like their look in this video, like despite the fact that they have adopted this more arena rock sound, they haven't adopted the arena rock look just yet.
No.
Which they will do, because Barnes still has like the real long, like frizzy Southern rock hair, and he keeps that long hair throughout his career. But like towards the 80s, they start dressing, I don't want to say new wavy, but it's definitely a new wave inspired style that they put him. Less country, more rock and roll.
Less like a Skinner tribute band, and more like their own. Well, more like the music of that time.
More like
This bar is what,
like, they started putting him in sport coats and shit, and like and rolled up sleeves. Like I'll send this to you later. Like this is like this great picture of like they really tried to 80s them up.
And you guys think about putting product in your hair?
Yeah, and when I see stuff like that, I always wonder, is that the band trying to, as they used to say on the Yacht Rock podcast, snake charm, try to keep themselves relevant, or is that the label? Is that the label saying, hey, you guys, you need to ditch the fucking cowboy hats?
Didn't Bon Jovi did that like overnight back in the 90s once Nirvana hit? Like, we need to get the fuck out of this phase right now. Boom. Short hair.
And Metallica, remember what a big deal it was when they cut their hair? And they were on, I think it was on the cover of Spin when they did Load and Reload.
Yep, Load and Reload is the new Metallica. Yeah.
But I love 38 Special. Like this is everything I like in a rock band. You got big hooks. Don Barnes is a fucking hell of a singer, like I think, and you got the 3 guitar players. Like this is just fucking top notch.
You get two sweaty beefy guys arm wrestling in this place. Like, it's got everything. It's got an arcade, pool, total white people dancing going on, and I noticed the Budweiser is flowing in this place. It is not a turned label. It is all like Budweiser cans, bottles. They might,
So there's a certain authenticity.
yeah, the
to
little
this
girl
video.
they're caught up in might just be called a can of Bud or be a can of Bud or something. But
Shari
yeah.
Shattuck, fucking Stone Cold Fox.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh.
I don't think I need to like reiterate that, but I should. But I do love when restaurants have the classic red and white tablecloths.
Yes.
Like if I opened up a restaurant, I would have the classic red and white tablecloths because I think that's such a distinctive old school thing that you.
Well, and
you
you like
see it
you
still
like
in
the old
Italian.
school pizza place type look,
You
know,
still
like yeah.
see it in
Mhm.
those kinds of places, but just to have it in your average bar, I think there's something very charming about that.
Yeah, no, the checker. Yeah, I like that. You also have a classic stereotype trope. You have the guy with the trucker hat, the suspenders, and the big glasses with the beard. Like,
And I like him.
appears everywhere.
The comic relief. He just keeps drinking and keeps drinking and
Yeah.
keeps drinking and keeps drinking, and then he falls over.
right. So, the video we have this Rick Springfield looking dude wants to dance with this girl. She goes dance with someone else, but like the end of the night, she selects him by flashing her hotel key at him, which
Leads
unbeknownst
us,
to me was a cliffhanger.
it was a cliffhanger. It led to the sequel
Yes.
for You Keep Running Away, which was co-written by Jim Peterick.
Boom. Which did you watch that video?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, because I was like, Mike, we have a sequel.
I you know what? I've never actually, as much as I love 38 Special, I was not aware of this one.
Yeah.
And I remember in the interview, Shattuck says that she liked this one a little bit more because it's a little bit more cinematic, and it is.
Yeah, but
The song's not quite as good. It's not quite as the hook's not quite. It's good. The hook's
the
good.
stylishness works better,
But
and
I
the
like
idea, yeah.
I like the moodiness of this video. This video is very. This one feels like an 80s music video.
Yeah, oh yeah,
to
yep.
me,
Mhm.
with its use of smoke and light and neon. And it features sleazy motels, which is
Yeah.
my favorite thing next to sleazy bars.
Yeah, well, we get another bar in it, and 38 Specials playing at that bar too. So I'm like, is she some like Grateful Dead follower, but with 38 Special? Is that
I
what?
think they're the only band that plays in this town.
Yeah,
That's why she gets on the bus.
yeah. It's like, you know what?
I'm tired of fucking watching 38 Special.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, that is funny.
But
yeah,
I will say the opening, you want to talk about like the male gaze. Like
Mhm.
the opening of this video is just her in her panties in the bedroom, putting on makeup, and it's like all shot from a low angle, just focusing on the goods.
it was
and you get
truly
her
a
in the
one night
shower.
stand.
The whole deal.
It's like someone asked what happens after the couple hooks up in the music video. What happens after?
This is truly
But before that was ever a thing.
Tour's vision here.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
bottle of Jack Daniels on top of the television.
Yeah, I'd say it feels like it's directed by two different people, but I think she mentioned in that interview it was the same crew and everything. They just
It
moved
has
on
to be
over.
because if they were shooting it the next day, it's got to be.
And that's how like a lot of times with music videos become part of like an album promotion. So you do your album, you do photo shoots, and then you go shoot like 3 music videos, 2, maybe 3, and
Especially
then
back
you think
then
about it
where-
later.
Especially back then where there was less, I want to say, artistry in the music video, where a lot of it would be just the band playing in a room.
Mhm.
If you look at that run of videos from Cheap Trick in 82 on 101, it's the same set. They just light it a little bit differently.
Right.
And they put the band in different clothes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I mean. It was what they do. Like, because they wouldn't even know what they were shooting would become a thing. Because the next thing is get out of here, go on your tour. We'll play these around and
Yeah, they said that Shattuck said that the band was probably on edge because they were just getting done with their tour and they were probably feeling rather rambunctious. And she did mention there was a lot of drinking done on the set by the band, which I don't believe anybody does anything better drunk. I've been on short film shoots where everybody's walking around with a beer, and I maybe thought that was cool at one time in my life, but if I was ever going to do it again, like, no, man, like, the beer, I don't like medicating with liquor. I like to use it as more of a reward. Like, I don't like to drink when I'm feeling bad, or like if I've had a rough shift. I like to have a beer after I've had a good shift. Tendon bar, where you're sitting on, like it just tastes that much better.
Yeah, or like we just not in the sense of like it's bad, but like if you just have like this heavy week and you finally got through it and crushed it, and you're like, we got through that. That's a good kind of reward too.
It's the reward. It's not the medication. Like, oh my god, everything, which I know some people do, and I know I have this. I've talked about this a couple times lately on different podcasts where, when I'm starting a bartending shift, and if I come in and it's already stressful for one reason or another, the transfer of money or whatever, something happens, and hey, Ashley, my bartending partner, come over and do this shot of Malort with me. And it's like, you feel better. And it's like, I'm totally using this like a Xanax right now. And it makes you kind of say, okay, you don't want to become too reliant on that. Right.
Yeah, I know.
That's where you start to form what we commonly call in the industry a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't, like I could, my work stuff, like sometimes we'll go out to eat for lunch or something, and like we'll get a beer, and that'll be like a nice refreshing thing to, and then send you back on to work. Like,
I'm a big fan of the lunch beer, just one. Well, my dad talks about, like, in the 70s when he was working at the phone company, it was nothing to go out to lunch on Friday, Friday at noon, Friday at 1, and never come back. And I'd tell him, well, what about the bosses? He goes, they were out there with you. Like, it was a different time.
Right.
If the work was done for the day, bye. There's none of that. Well, you need to stay here and fill out your hours or whatever.
Yeah. Different times.
Better times. I'll tell you what, I would party in this bar in the Caught Up in You video. And I've never actually seen 38 Special live, but I know they play Sturgis every year. They're a big Sturgis band.
Okay.
Like, they do still, like, despite kind of having that arena rock sound, they still do attract that biker crowd.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And somehow I've never seen them and Cheap Trick. I don't think Cheap Trick and them ever really done like a together, but they both bands that do kind of intersect on the corn dog circuit every once in a while. But I'd be very excited to watch. Yeah, I'd be very excited to see them on a bill together.
That's it seems like they should have. Feels like, but
well, Jim Peterick has co-written, like, Jim Peterick has doctored up Cheap Trick songs. Jim Peterick's just that guy, man. He's been around, and one day he's gonna pass away, and everybody's gonna be talking about him.
Yeah. There's a lot of these, like, it's like, oh, they were actually brilliant, because I don't know. I don't hate to say kids today, but I feel like the looking back on music doesn't come with a lot of the new music anymore, or maybe they're not looking back at the stuff I did, but like 90s. When I was getting into alternative music and stuff, that turned me on to like discovering more Zeppelin, Doors, like all this stuff that I could tell that was influencing these bands. I went and checked out the influencers. I don't know if they do that anymore.
Well, here's why. And I think, and allow me to defend the young people for a minute.
Or it's different, the delivery.
I just think there's too much. You have too much access to everything. So when you had to, so you're listening to bands in the 90s. So you're like, okay, I want to check out Led Zeppelin, right? So you got to go to the record store and you got to decide which Led Zeppelin record you want to get. And you get that one, and you're going to fucking make sure that record's good. You're going to trick yourself into making sure that record's good.
True.
You're going to listen to that record until you like that fucking record, because you just dropped $18 at Camelot Music on that record.
Right.
Well, now, like, and it's great that people aren't as narrow-minded. In the 90s, like, it was nothing to be said. I like country music, I like rock music, I like rap music. Like, you didn't see a lot of intersection. A little bit, especially when you come into alternative, you saw more an intersection between people who liked hip-hop and liked what was coming out of, the grunge, for lack of a better term, that scene. Whereas now, like, if you like a band, you're like, okay, I want to find out who their influences are. You go on Spotify and you're like, well, where do I fucking start? And then you end up listening to the same bullshit that you always listen to.
Or there's no journey to find it, and you can just cram it all in a session, and then it just doesn't stick too.
So then you don't sit with the album cover and you don't read all the notes. I mean, on the other hand, on the flip side, like, you could sit there and read Wikipedia and get the whole band's fucking history.
Yeah.
Then also there's no mystery about the band.
What's the song about? Oh, there it is.
It's all just right there.
it never got to mean anything to you before you found out what it meant to them. And I will, just to defend the kids too. Something like I always say too, like when there's people that be like, kids just don't learn our history and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, how long ago were you in like high school? Oh, like 25 years ago. You realize 25 years of history has happened since then that they have to add to the history books. Like you didn't have, like you're getting mad at them for history. You don't have to go learn because you lived through it, but
you're a movie guy. Like, you know how it's harder and harder to be a cinephile every year because there's more fucking movies, you know?
Yeah. And people are like, hey, what are you name your top 10 films of all time? I'm like, you realize I'm 40 years old. Movies have been around for over 100 years. 10's not simple, especially when you love them and you've seen so many that mean so much to you.
Well, then I fall back on just like, I'm like, well, I mean, it's when they put the screws to me, it's like Star Wars, Boogie Nights, Pulp Fiction. Like it's those
I have the go-tos. But they're very obvious. Like, Nightmare on Elm. I put Nightmare on Elm Street up there. Yeah. Some kid at the bar, he was a customer. He was trying to get me talking, and I took him to task. He goes, "What are your favorite movies of all time?" And I said, "No." I said, "You're smarter than that. Ask me a more distinct, better question, smarter question." Yeah.
And he sit there. He goes, "What are your top 5 slasher movies of all time?" I said, "Now we're talking.
There
now
you go.
Narrowing it down. Now we have a conversation."
Perfect.
There's so many movies out there, right?
Yes.
Like asking about your top 5 albums. I mean, it changes within the week. And music's the same way with movies, where there's just constantly more music being made. But music was better back then.
No argument. So that'll do it for this week, Mike. It's a good time. Tell you 38 special. Hope you all enjoy it. Go check out 38 special. That's like a forgotten big band from back in the day.
Yeah, who still goes out, still plays live, still sounds great. Great singing, great playing, great songwriting. 2 fucking drummers. How often do you see that?
Yeah. That's
Check
crazy.
it out, guys. Big fan of 38 special.
All right. Till your next time here, you got one more left. Where can people keep up with you this July?
Are we in July now? Let's see. You can find me on Twitter at Mike Vanderbilt. You can find me on Instagram at MA Vanderbilt. Don't forget to check out the Halloweenies, Cheap Tracks, Centerfold, revealing culture through Playboy magazine, and Windy City double feature picture show. Hopefully I haven't started a new podcast in the interim. I think I need to do that. That's what I got going on right now.
All right. Okay. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Brad4KUHD. We're going to work at WhySoBlue.com. Scott and I return Monday. We're going to talk some more 82 summer movies here in July. Don't know specifically which ones because I'm not going to dig up and look at the calendar. You'll know for sure because you'll follow me. You'll know what's up. So check back Monday. Until then, stay film positive.
The summer of 82 at 40.
Thank you for listening. The Brandon Peters Show is a Creative Zombie Studios production. Produced by Brad Shoemaker and Brandon Peters. Written and edited by Brandon Peters. Announcer vocals by Jessica Alsman. Theme song by Metavari. Web design and show art by Brad Shoemaker with Brandon Peters. All music and clips featured in the episode are property of their respective studios, and no infringement is intended. The Summer of 82 at 40 and News of the Moment themes by Pres Maxson. Additional information on this and other episodes at thebrandonpetershow.com. For any inquiries, press opportunities, or sponsorship, contact mail at thebrandonpetershow.com. The show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found.